direct from the land of the five rivers.
Years ago, when we came to Los Angeles, I really believed that the greatness of the Raiders would be in its future.
We back. You already know what time it is.
Oh, you didn't know?
50-50.
Welcome to the 50-50 Show with PharoahNFL and the Severe Raider, the realest show for Raider Nation.
The perpetuation of the greatness of the Raiders to take a professional football team and give it a distinct characteristic that's different from all others.
Make sure to clock in, like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell.
Yes, man, y'all already know what time it is. Make sure to clock in. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. We are going live on both our channels. Obviously, myself, PharoahNFL, my guy, the Severe Raider. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't subscribed, man. All that good stuff, man. We got a good show, man. We got a good show coming up, man. And we have a special guest coming back and joining us to talk about the Raiders. If you haven't seen the title and obviously the thumbnail, man, we got Moe Moton in the building today, man. We got him come through and just break down the season real quick. You know, sometimes it's good to hear a different perspective. You know, a voice, another voice of reason. So we definitely love Moe Moton's takes, and we're gonna go ahead and start that in a second, man. But before we get my guy Mark in the building, man, he said first like of the show, man. We got to give you the Raiders salute, and he wanted to give you all a friendly reminder too as well, man. He says clock in and enjoy the show. Facts, 100%, man. He already knows what to do, man. We got Raider Way in the building, man. Salute PharoahNFL, Severe, my guy.
Salute.
Appreciate you coming through, man. And hey, you know what? Severe got a reminder, man. Support the show, cop some merch. 5050shop.printify.me, man. Make sure to check it out. We got everything you need. Shirts, hoodie, all that good stuff. Go over there and check it out whenever you can. And get you some gear, man. You know what I mean? It's getting colder. We got some hoodies. So we got more hoodies coming too. Just be on the lookout too. Billy Davis in the building. He says, "What up, Raider Nation?" Pharaoh and Severe, man. My God, Billy, man. One of my mods, man. Appreciate you coming through.
Yes, sir.
Me, just simply me, says boycotting this team until they have a winning record. Just what I'm doing. Not watching, supporting, or buying anything Raiders to, like I said, to have a winning record. Not hard for me. You know what?
You're going to be boycotting a long-ass time, right?
It's going to be a long time. It's going to be a long time. But I get the logic, though. I understand what you're saying, man. You cannot, and that's part of the problem, is that Raider Nation, like, I remember going into, like, some sports store. They had, like, sports gear, jerseys, all that. And he seen I had a Raider hat on, and he was just like, man, you're a Raider fan, right? He's like, man, you guys, man, and he was clearly a Niner fan. He had a Niner hat on, and he was just like, man, I got to respect y'all because no matter if y'all win, lose, y'all in here buying, like, jerseys. He said 49er fans, probably, and he's a 49er fan, probably one of the fakest fans out there just because – And this is coming from a Niner fan because he sees it. He says they only buy stuff when they're winning. But it had me thinking a little bit like maybe that's part of the problem. Maybe the fact that we support this team even when they're losing, it's not putting a lot of pressure on the Raiders to, just handle their business. Put the best players out there, put the best coaches out there, put the best product out there. So there might be some truth to what you're saying, man. Appreciate you coming through. Queen. You got jokes today. Hey, Queen got jokes. I didn't know she had a sense of humor, but hey, look.
She's funny.
She's funny.
I made sure I rocked the LA hat because I knew Pharaoh was not under no circumstances going to rock the LA hat.
You see me with a beanie right today. You got an LA hat. That's funny. Sure. That's funny. If you know, you know. Me love the shows. You guys have more heart than players and coaches and owners. Damn, man. Right Sheesh. We've been here every week. Like it's been almost a year since me and Severe started this show. So you know what I mean? But I don't want to take it that far. I think, players got heart. I think it's just a matter of, they need to put the right, product out there. I think at the end of the day, it's easier when you're frustrated with a team. It's so easy to call everybody trash. They're not good. This guy's disgusting. Like, what is he doing? They need to fire him. It's easy to say that, but in reality, they're putting in a lot of work. It's just.
Hey. But what makes it real easy, what makes it even easier, is when all them dudes is trash. Like, that makes it easy. When they are trash, oh, bro, I would call somebody trash in a second. This thing,
Raph in the building, man. Appreciate you coming through, man. My guy. We got Steve. Who else excited for Scott Turner? Playoff bound, baby. Hey, Steve got some positivity, man.
Bro,
you know what I mean?
This is the fakest positivity in the world.
Is it? Hey, am I missing the sarcasm, Steve? I'm really believing you right now.
That is dripping with sarcasm. Dripping.
Fear Raider, man, appreciate you coming through. Harrison Brandt, don't forget the Bears. The Bears.
I'm talking about bad teams.
We're gonna. Oh yeah, we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that, man. That's very, very interesting situation. Yes. Salute to the night crew. Yes. I always forget to say the night crew, man. The night crew in the building, man. We appreciate everybody coming through. Make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Like I said, we had Moe Moton come through and just talk about the state of the Raiders and what the team, how the season went so far and all that good stuff. I'm not going to waste any time. So yeah, just hey, go ahead and enjoy this interview, man. I'm going to go ahead and start it here. Here we go. We got Moe Moton in the building, man. Got to give him a round of applause, man, for coming through. And you know, we got to give him the Raiders salute too, Raider Nation salute, because we appreciate the work that he puts in, man. Appreciate him coming through. Man, we have a lot to talk about. It's that mid-season review. We've kind of started this conversation obviously last week because we knew it was a bye week, so we wanted to look back at what all the moves and everything that's happened so far this season. But obviously we want to get it. We have Moe in the building, so we have to get his perspective on things because he does have a really good perspective. Moe, like what's your thoughts on the season so far? Let's just get that conversation started. Like, what do you think of from beginning to end? Because I think the last time we had you on, we talked about the offseason, but now that we're here at the halfway point, pretty much, what are your thoughts on the season so far? Is this what you expected?
Well, before you go, Mo, just so you know, the Mint Chip Association of America, they are listening and they're recording this. So before you go, just make sure that's.
I'll say this. I expected some of these issues, but it is worse than I thought it would be. I made this comment on social media, right? And I'll say it here too. The Raiders have 2 wins, and they've had 2 air-it-out meetings so far. When you have as many air-it-out meetings as you do wins, that's a problem. That's also a glaring red flag. So the Raiders had their second air-it-out meeting during the bye week. Players are expressing that the schedule is not efficient. They're basically not getting what they need to prepare for these football games. You have this massive coaching staff, and guys are complaining about inefficiencies and this is not being done right, and people are getting called out. I didn't expect that to happen in November. I expected that maybe in September with a new head coach full-time coming in, a massive staff. I expected some of these issues early. But to have these issues midway through the season, and now you're bringing in another senior advisor, North Turner. Now the Raiders have like 4 or 5 senior advisors. It seems like for every coordinator / key position coach, they have an advisor for that coach. Why can't the Raiders just hire guys who can do the job? Why do all of these coaches need someone watching over their shoulder to make sure they do the job correctly? And this is the problem right now with AP's staff. Now, while I expected him to hire some experienced guys to offset his inexperience, to have all of these advisors and to have these inefficiencies and players making business decisions and players complaining about schedule inefficiencies, those are the things that I didn't expect. And again, it's gone worse than I expected. And this is why I'm on serious doubt that AP is back for year 2. Now, he has half of the season to possibly turn it around. I'm not going to dismiss him yet. But if we're looking at AP right now, his coaching staff, he is not head coaching material. I think that's very clear right now. But he has a chance to at least show or at least convince Mark Davis to keep him around for another year. Mark Davis's standards, as we've seen, aren't very high. So don't be surprised if AP gets at least another year with the Raiders and possibly a new quarterback, a new offensive coordinator, and some more changes to his staff going forward.
But you know what? We had this conversation last week, and we kind of looked at the bigger picture, bigger than just AP, and why the Raiders are year in, year out, you know, just the Raiders. I mean, whether it's drama, whether it's we're always missing that one piece of whatever. It might be coaching staff, might be my offensive coordinator, it might be offensive, whatever the case may be. Mark Davis has owned this team for 11 years now. And while he says that he doesn't know anything about football and, you know, he relies on people around him to help him run the team, whatever he's doing isn't working. And what my main thing is that the Raiders seriously need structure. Just look at all the best teams in the NFL. Like, they have a level of structure. You know, Raiders got away with being ran the way they were in the past because they had an all-time great owner, a one of one. I mean, have you ever seen an owner go from coach to GM to own the team? And that was a serious advantage back then. But obviously, we don't have Al Davis no more, and our team needs to be run just like all the other teams, where there has to be a level of structure. You got to hire the right people. But Mark it just seems like he's just too, whether he says he's not, he's just too involved. I just feel like he's just too close to it. Whether it's firing coaches, like for example, if we fire, like you just mentioned right now, if we fire AP, he doesn't come back for, what was the point of firing McDaniels in the middle of the season? And hear me out. I wanted McDaniels gone. But what I'm saying is, if you were thinking, if someone was in the building that was thinking ahead, you would be like, let it play out. The season's already lost. Secure that draft pick. Let the young players, whoever, we'll evaluate the team as it goes, and we're going to push to put the young players out there, and we'll evaluate who comes back and whatnot. We could have had a top 5 pick if you think about it. We could have had a chance of getting Jaden Daniels, one of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL. So that's just an example of the influence that Mark Davis has, where it's like a domino effect. Like, even though he says he's not, he's not his dad where he's calling in the middle of a preseason game. Yeah, you got to run this defense. But he's still kind of too close to it, because we see a team in the WNBA that he owns, and we see the success that he's having there. I don't know if it's lately, but they've won a couple of championships. But the team that he put together, he has it running itself. Why can't he do that with the Raiders? That's just my
Pharaoh
thing.
Pharaoh here trying to filibuster. I ain't trying to take up too much of Moe time. We have another hour conversation about this.
I'm just saying, man. I'm just like,
because look, the Raiders haven't been good since the inception of free agency because of Al Davis. Once players were free to leave or didn't want to come here, they didn't come because we were in Oakland, because we had a terrible stadium with terrible facilities. Before free agency, the Raiders were the team of the decades. Post free agency, we've made the playoffs how many times, right? That was because of Al Davis. Who hired the first GM in Raider history? Mark Davis. So all of this is new. I remember for years people were saying, Al Davis, he needs to just hire a GM. If we hire a GM, we could be like other franchises. If we just hire a GM and Al Davis could take his hands off the wheel, we can start winning. And now Mark Davis comes in. What does he do? He hires a GM. And what happened? The same thing, right? So it's not just about the GM. Now the new thing is hire president of football operations. First off, most teams in the NFL, a lot of teams in the NFL, a lot of successful teams in the NFL don't have president of football operations, right? A lot of them function without that position. And they function just fine with the owner hiring the GM and the GM hiring everybody else. Everything Mark Davis has done, he's done to counter something he's done in the past. He paired Reggie McKenzie and a young head coach in the past. It didn't work. So what did he do this time? He paired an experienced GM with a young head coach, right? He had two iterations of guys where the coach and the GM were either too close or felt where he was in a situation where the GM was basically working under the coach. So what does he do this time? There is a clear delineation in job responsibilities and job duties. The GM in this situation is the GM. The coach is the head coach. There's not a lot of crossover and not a lot of overlap, right? These guys they said they have a good working relationship. I mean, I don't know how true that is because they didn't know each other in the past. But in the past, we had GMs and head coaches that knew each other, and they were too close. And the head coach was basically running the organization as a de facto GM. So he's doing something differently this time. So it's like, we complain about him not hiring a president of football operations, just like we complained about Al Davis not hiring a GM. We got a GM and it didn't work. So what's to say that if we get a president of football operations, it's going to work? Know what this team is missing that they don't have? A quarterback. A quarterback fixes all of this. I'm one of the few people in the beginning saying Jaden Daniels was a QB1. This is when he was a projected late first round pick, right? At that time, we were good where we're at. When we were at 13, a lot of people were saying he was back half of the first round, early second round. It was until later in the year that he shot up draft boards. So nobody expected Jaden Daniels to be the number 2 quarterback picked in that draft, except I thought he was the best quarterback in the draft. And a lot of people disagreed. So we thought we were in good position to get one. We thought we had Michael Penix. We didn't get it. I think part of that falls on Tom Telesco not being aggressive and moving up.
So I know we had a whole lot to say, Mo, but what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that Mark Davis should take a little bit of accountability in some of the Raiders' failures, or do you think that Mark Davis is actually trying? Is just going to be hard? It's harder than it looks. Like, is it that type of deal, or is it?
No, it's definitely harder than it looks, but that doesn't mean Mark Davis should be making the decisions. I think what we all can glean from this is that Mark Davis is a bad decision maker.
Exactly.
He's the one doing all the hiring from after the passing of his dad. So it all starts with him. He hired the GM. He brought in John Gruden. Now, John Gruden's situation was outside the Raiders' control with the emails in Washington. It's a whole different story. But Mark Davis is making all of these decisions. So it has to start with him. And I've been saying this now for over a year, that Mark Davis needs to exclude himself from making football decisions. I don't know who he's going to listen to. It probably isn't Marcel Reese. No shot to Marcel Reese. No disrespect. But he needs to get out of the lane of making football decisions, do the business side of things, and handle that.
Right.
And get some actual football minds to make these decisions and do these hirings, because I'll point to one situation that was just so weird. And it's something that you don't see. When the Raiders hired Antonio Pierce, the other candidates that they interviewed hadn't coached that year in 2023. So you knew that Antonio Pierce was going to be the head coach. Once you saw that, I believe it was as a DB coach and another former Leslie Frazier and the former Saints defensive back coach. His name is slipping my mind right now. It's early. But the point is, neither of those coaches had coached that year. So they had predetermined the interview process. AP was in on the GM interview process. When have you seen a head coach who hasn't officially been hired yet sitting on the panel to hire the GM?
Yeah.
This is all Mark Davis is doing, by the way. He's not sitting on that panel if Mark Davis doesn't sign off on that.
Right.
The Raiders interview process, whether you like AP or not, was backwards.
Right.
And from that point on, you had to question the way the Raiders did things, whether you liked AP or not. So it goes back to my point that, number one, the guy making the big decisions is a bad decision maker. And he has to exclude himself from making these decisions going forward if the Raiders are going to progress. Even if they get a quarterback. Severe, I hear what you're saying about the quarterback position. It's the most important position. You need a quarterback to compete in this league. We see that year in and year out. But if that quarterback goes to a team where the coaching staff isn't helping him, because let me tell you, Jay Daniels can't do it on his own. He has to have a supportive coaching staff and a supporting cast on the field to be successful. He can't do it in a vacuum. Last offseason, I was one of the few people that said Dan Quinn would be a good hire because he knows how to build a quality coaching staff. He did it in Atlanta. I understand the Falcons failed. 23, we hear about it all the time. But that coaching staff had some names there. They had Kyle Shanahan on that staff. The Dolphins head coach, McDaniel, was on that staff. Raheem Morris was on that staff. Multiple coaches on that staff are now current head coaches. Dan Quinn knows how to build a coaching staff. People like to compare AP to Dan Campbell. AP fires Luke Getsy, promotes Scott Turner, which is an uninspiring hiring. They bring in North Turner as a senior advisor. You know what Dan Campbell did in Detroit? He promoted Ben Johnson. He had a brilliant young mind on staff ready to go. The reports are out that Luke Getsy wasn't the Raiders' first or second choice as an OC. Knowing that, why don't you have a young, brilliant mind, innovative mind on staff to promote just in case your third choice doesn't work out, which it didn't. No, but he has to promote Scott Turner because he has the play calling experience. That falls on AP, building his staff, or the fault in building his staff. Who put AP in place? Mark Davis.
Exactly.
So you could start with AP, but you have to go up the ladder and say it starts with Mark Davis, and that's why the process is rotten from the top down.
Right. And I hope that it works out with AP, but yeah. Man, but
I got something to say. Mo gotta go, so I'm gonna let it go. Mo gotta go.
And I'll say this too, because the other day I was saying that with the Raiders, there's always something missing. We're always missing something, and I think part of that is because of Raider Nation and the fans' expectations on the team. because at the end of the day, nothing is going to be fixed within 1 year. And we need a level of consistency, which we haven't had. I don't know if maybe the closest to consistency that we probably had was John Gruden. You know what I mean? Before he was let go. And then we all know how dysfunctional that situation was. But going back to, so you're saying that you feel like AP is not coming back. That's your general feeling as of right now. Anything can change between now until the end of the season. But right now, it's just like, it's a feeling of like, he's not coming back.
If you're asking me today, I don't think he's back simply because of all the red flags we're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
The aired out meetings, the calling out of players with business decisions, the recent blowout, against Cincinnati. If the Raiders get blown out in most of the rest of their games, I think it basically seals his fate. Let's not forget that now Mark Davis, who I just railed about, he's going to have Tom Brady in his ear. So and Richard Seymour is now seems to be part of that decision-making process for the Raiders. It's going to matter what they think about Antonio Pierce. I'm not saying they're running the franchise, but the guy running the franchise is going to be listening to these guys. So it's going to matter what their opinion on Antonio Pierce is. So Antonio Pierce has to at least show improvement in the second half of the season. I'm not saying the Raiders are going to win, 8 games. They're a 4 or 5 win football team, in my opinion, with the Jaguars and the Saints being the possible wins on that schedule. But it has to operationally look better. You can't have players complaining about the schedule and preparing for football games. You can't constantly have these meetings and expect to keep your job and get blown out on game day. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, nah, I agree. I agree. And I think him firing the offensive coaching staff like in the middle of the season is just a sign of him. Yeah, a little bit of urgency because he feels like, hey, if he doesn't win some of these games, he might not come back.
Really quick, can I say something? Because
go ahead.
Something bothers me about this whole season. People say the Raiders are purposely tanking to get a draft pick. You cannot tank if you don't have locked job security. If you're not absolutely sure that you're going to keep your job,
right?
There's no way you can be on some big tanking conspiracy because you may not be there next year to benefit from that draft pick. And it doesn't make sense that the Raiders are tanking because if they were tanking, they would have kept Luke Getsy. They would have kept everything the way it was because it's going downhill anyway. They would have said, let's just ride out the season with what we got. We're a bad football team. We're poorly coached. Let's just get the top draft pick. As you said, Pharaoh, they made changes. They fired their OC. They fired James Craig, the offensive line coach. They fired their quarterback coach. That shows urgency. Usually how it goes down is the coordinator is the first to go. And if things don't improve, then the head coach is next to go.
Well, let me throw this at you because we also had a conversation about like just how bad the quarterback room is. And going now that we can look back, because when this is what we all do. I mean, fans, as I should say, would all do is just try to make the best of the situation. Like, you know what? If we got this and this, it could come together. The Raiders can make a run for the playoffs. But in this case, the quarterback room is what it is. Minshew is not a good quarterback, career backup. AOC, you're expecting too much from a guy that's probably projected to be a quarterback for the rest of his career, 4th rounder. We all know the limitations. I know a favorite thing of you, what you say about the AOC, if he can show functional mobility, but he's never shown that. And I seen a stat. I don't know how true this is. I got to really look into this. Is he's never had a QB rush. I don't think he's ever. I got to look into this, but that's crazy because now that I think about it, I don't think I've ever seen AOC like rush and get positive yardage. Just scrambling, get an extra yard. I got to look into that. But that being said, I think that's what has people thinking like if you knew the quarterback situation is what it is, and in order to win in this league, you're gonna have to have some type of talent back there. Do you think there's a disconnect between Telesco and AP?
I'm not sure about a disconnect. AP did tease that the Raiders may try to trade up. Now, we have no idea what those conversations were like behind the scenes, before the draft. I wouldn't say there's a disconnect, but I think Severe talked about this. The GM has to do his job, and the head coach has to do his job, right? The head coach has more of a short-term outlook on the football team. The GM has to have more of a long-term outlook, years down the line.
Right.
but they still have to have a vision that's, how should I say, it's in unison. They still have to see the same thing for the team short and long term. Now, I don't know how that dynamic works. I would never picture AP and Telesco together because they're looking from the outside. They are completely opposite personalities. Like they're completely on the opposite side of the spectrum. So I don't know if that plays into it. I guess we'll see if AP does keep his job, how the Raiders draft. But I will say that the players that they drafted, for me, they seem like AP guys. JPJ, tough guy, hard worker. Brock Bowers, tough guy, I believe he has some Raider in him, if that makes sense. Because if you remember, AP said there are only 5 guys in this draft class that are actual Raiders. He said they're good football prospects and they're Raider players. And I think they want their players to look a certain way. And I think Brock Bowers and Jackson Powers Johnson embody that. So for the first draft between the two, I think there is some synergy there. But my question still is AP going to be there next year? And again, if you're asking me today, I would say no, though he again has a chance to turn it around. I know Severe and I can have a spirited discussion about the quarterback position. You talked about the quarterback room. And I agree with Severe on this, that getting the right quarterback would change a lot for the Raiders. Mm-hmm. Right? So we watched C.J. Stroud 2 years ago. We watched Jayden Daniels this year. And we watch how those two dumpster fire organizations are now playoff teams. And what did they get? They got the quarterback right. But so also to my point, they also got the coaching staff right. D'Amico Ryans, in my opinion, should have won Coach of the Year last year. Dan Quinn, as I said, last year would have been a pretty good retread because he knows how to build coaching staffs. Players don't become successful on their own. They still need that coaching staff to get them along and develop them as their career goes on.
Yeah. I'm just saying, it just felt like, AP, like you said, there's a difference in personality. AP was talking all that trash over the offseason and how we're going to be aggressive. We're not looking for a Band-Aid at quarterback. And then we just go into the season with Minshew and AOC. Just like, y'all didn't think that y'all are going to win games with them. Did y'all think that? Like, I'm just trying to put 2 and 2 together. I'm like, that's where everybody's thinking, okay, like you said, GMs have a long-term approach. Whether they might use the word tanking, or they might be like, you know what, let this be a season of, transition. They might use those words, transition. And AP's like, no, we got to win now, because he knows that he's probably on a short leash, because we don't know the details of that contract. But Mo, I don't want to waste any more of your time. I know that I know you got a lot going on, but before you head out, Severe, do you have any questions before we head out?
No, I know. Mo has some. I know he has some Bleacher Report stuff to do, man. So I ain't trying to hold him up too much. But definitely, me and you, Pharaoh, we definitely gonna have a very, very spirited conversation.
The show will go on. The show will go on. 50-50 show, man. But yeah, I'm just trying to think, like, if AP is gone, let's just. If AP's gone,
I would just say this. Ask this. Well, we talk about the hires that Mark Davis has made. Has he made those hires by himself? We talk about Richard Seymour being in the room. Has Richard Seymour not been in the room for all these hires in the past? If we look at president of football operations, who's going to be the person hiring the president of football operations? So we want Mark Davis to take a hands-off approach and say he's a terrible decision maker, but he still has to be the person that ultimately makes these decisions. Unless he does it through a hiring firm, which has been a very mixed bag of success in the NFL. We've seen them make some good decisions, and we see a hiring firm make some bad decisions. The person that has been there through a lot of these decisions is Richard Seymour. And if you don't like these decisions, now Richard Seymour and Tom Brady are both there. So they're going to be heavily involved in those decisions as well. So how can we trust their decisions? So I will say that to kind of put a pin in that and put a pin in that topic.
Right. Go ahead.
That's a good point. No, that's a good point. The only difference is how involved and how big is Tom Brady's influence now going to be? Is he going to have more influence than Richard Seymour? And who else is involved in who's in Tom Brady's area? He's getting help making these decisions. So I think it changes the dynamic a bit, because Mark Davis did mention that Tom Brady could be president VP down the line. Now we'll see what happens, because he does have that broadcasting job. How involved can he be? Maybe he doesn't have an official title. Maybe it's unofficial. Maybe he's more of like a consultant. We'll see. Yeah. But Severe is right in, if you're going to have a VP, if you're going to have all these positions, Mark Davis has to appoint that person. So he's a bad decision maker, but then he's going to have to hire a good decision maker, and is that going to be a good decision? So it's a big spider web of it. All goes back to Mark Davis, and he has to. Yeah, he has to set the track for this franchise, or at least put someone who he can trust to set the track for the franchise going forward. Because the Raiders, as you said, Pharaoh, they need structure.
They need structure. And real quick, one last question. I know you are kind of leaning towards AP not being back. Who are the possible replacements, or is there anyone in mind that you're kind of hey, the Raiders can get him? Yeah.
I mean, everyone's talking about Ben Johnson. I'm not going to even talk about Ben Johnson because Ben Johnson at this point is going to be the coach of 8 different football teams that are going to need coaches. Yeah. So I would say an underrated name. I like Liam Cohen. Now, Liam Cohen with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they lost their two top wide receivers. That team, while they've lost, they're still putting up points. And their best wide receiver is Sterling Shepard, who's 32 years old. How long been in the league? Almost was out of the league not too long ago. Mm-hmm. They're doing it with a bunch of running backs and tight ends. K. Dotton has come along as one of the better pass catching tight ends in the league. Yeah. I like Liam Cohen. It's not like he's a fresh new coach on the pro level. He's gone back and forth between the Rams and Kentucky. So he comes from that Sean McVay coaching tree. Look at Kevin O'Connell. Look at what he's doing in Minnesota with that offense. I know Sam Darnold's starting to fall off now, but at the beginning, we were talking about Sam Darnold as comeback player of the year. We look at Zach Robinson in Atlanta. I know a lot of Raider fans were interested in him in the offseason. The Falcons, I know they've lost some games, but their offense isn't terrible. If you're picking from a coach from a good coaching tree, I would like a coach from the Sean McVay coaching tree, and I would look at Liam Cohen again, who is not a new face on the pro level. He's been back and forth between Kentucky and the Rams over the past few years, and look at what he's doing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now.
Was he a QB coach last year? I know this year he's an OC, but was he a QB coach last year?
He was OC. He was OC in title because Sean. At Kentucky he was OC, but under Sean McVay, I believe he was also an OC because Sean McVay runs the show there.
Oh, so he wasn't with Tampa Bay last year?
No.
Oh,
no, he wasn't.
Okay. Interesting. And hey, man, Baker Mayfield looks like a completely different quarterback with the Bucs, man. So that's something to keep an eye on.
Last year, though, with Dave Canales, though. So
yeah.
It's like,
but I feel like even this year he's even better. Like I'm watching him. He's making plays.
Chris Godwin. This year they have Chris Godwin. Well, Chris Godwin has been more healthy than he has been previously.
Yeah. But he's hurt. He's out for the season, and Baker Mayfield is still playing well. But hey, Mo, we're not trying to waste any more of your time. We appreciate you coming through. If you could let the people know where they can find you, what to look forward to, all that good stuff.
Most of all over there on Bleacher Report. I'm there for the post games, midweek shows to talk about what's going on this week. I'm going to have a show talking about what we can expect from the new offense under interim offensive coordinator Scott Turner. He's probably going to bring in the Air Coryell system. I'll talk about that on Wednesday Sports Night. I have a piece up on what I expect to see out of the offense going forward. I talk about some of the unheralded wide receivers on the Raiders roster, some of the back end guys. Maybe a reemergence of Zamir White with the new system, JPJ at center. I discuss all of that in the piece. Sometimes I pop up on CNN or TNT now, here and there. If you want to check that out when I talk general NFL.
Light flex right there, light flex.
Light flex, sometimes I pop up on that network here and there. And of course, and anyone out there listening that has a Raider podcast like this show, I'm willing to pop up and talk Raiders, whether we agree or disagree. We can have a spirited discussion. I'm sure I'll be back talking with Severe about some things organizationally. I'm sure we disagree and agree on some things, but that's cool. And that's what I like to do on shows. Talk Raider football, talk Raider organization. How can the Raiders get better? How can they get back to committing to excellence?
There you go, man. Hey, Mo, appreciate you coming through. And as everybody else that's watching, man, the show will go on. We'll continue this conversation. But, hey, we appreciate Mo for coming through. See you next time. Peace.
No doubt. Appreciate y'all.
We back.
Welcome to the 50-50 show.
Man, great interview from Mo. Shout out to him, man. Appreciate him coming in and just breaking down Raider football as always, man. Hey, great interview. He had great insight and like I said,
never bring him back again, bro. Never bring him.
Hey, all I'm gonna say, man. Hey, look. I'm just saying, man. It starts at the top. It starts with Mark Davis at the end of the day. But I understand where you're coming from. It's like he is trying. He's trying to make it work and make it happen, and it's just not working. But we'll see, man. You made a great point about how the Tom Brady's and the Richard Seymour's were part of the interview process, and now they're owners of the team or minority owners, and they're looking to have influence on the future Raider decisions. I think more so Tom Brady. So I'm hoping for the best. I'm just gonna keep it at that. I'm just hoping for the best.
Yeah, man.
I'm hoping for the best, man. But if you haven't already, make sure to clock in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. We appreciate everybody coming through. Yeah. We got a lot to talk about, man. We're fresh off the bye week. Last Sunday, the Raiders didn't lose. The Raiders did not lose last Sunday. So, hey, that's positivity, right? Like a little bit. We keep it positive.
Little glimmer of hope. And some of the teams we needed to win won. So it was
exactly. So you know what? Let's actually take a look and see. Let's get an update. Tankathon. Let's take a look and see where the Raiders are currently at right now. Let's see here. I seen something where the Raiders they're at number 5. They're picking number 5, and I can put it on the screen so everybody can see this as well. Let's see. So we can take a look at it here. Let's see. See if you can see it here.
We about to be 2-8 too, so we're gonna move on up. So,
man, look how many bad teams there are. So it's like, man, I know AP he's thinking about his job, but man, look how close literally every loss counts. Like is there a chance that the Raiders could get number 1 pick? Possibly, but I don't know. I think we might win a few games. Yeah, I think we're gonna win a few more games. To be honest with you, I think we're gonna win like 2 or 3 more games.
I think the Giants are gonna win at least one more game, just off of Malik Neighbors and Tyrone Tracy. Tyrone Tracy, a guy I talked about pre-draft as well. We talked about on the 50-50 show, and I think on Around the Shield as well. So right. I think they got another win in them. I think Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence, I think he's good enough for Brian Thomas. Bigsby, Etienne, if those guys can kind of get going, they have a 1-2 punch at running back. So I think they can get going. And, we got no hope for Cleveland or Tennessee. Like, those are the teams I'm worried about because they have nothing and they're playing for nothing. So, only thing is that, Stefanski in Cleveland could be coaching for his job. I think the coach for Tennessee, whose name escapes me right now. I think he just got hired. Yeah, Brian Callahan. Yeah, he's relatively safe. I think he just got hired. I think they kind of knew it would take some time with him. He's young too, but Stefanski is coaching for his job. So Tennessee, they have nothing to play for. Dable's kind of coaching for his job, but the writing might be on the wall. So I'm worried about Tennessee. They're definitely taking a quarterback.
Yeah, what I'm looking at, just like you just said right now, they're definitely taking a quarterback. I'm looking at the teams ahead of the Raiders that could take a quarterback. I can see the Giants taking a quarterback. Daniel Jones. I don't even understand how long. Like, I don't understand. Like, we Raider fans, we're like frustrated with Derek Carr and how long he played with the Raiders and not have the success that you would want out of a quarterback leading his team. But the Giants, they've had Daniel Jones for 6 years, and hey, I don't think he's close to Derek Carr. Like, I think he's terrible. Like, I don't even. I'm just saying. I don't even understand. Like, I think that 1 year, Brian Daboll's first year, they won some games, and then they felt like, okay, we're going to give him an extension. If anything, I would have gave him like a franchise and let him play that out and see if he could repeat the success. But they didn't do that, and they gave him a contract.
Daniel Jones has something that Derek Carr doesn't have, and Derek Carr would never in his life have. A playoff win. Ever.
Damn, man. You just going for the kill today. Well, look, I can see the Giants picking a quarterback. I can see Tennessee picking a quarterback. Brian Callahan is not attached to Will Levis. He did not draft. That was not a quarterback that he was part of drafting. That was a previous regime. and it just looks like Will Levis isn't progressing like you would want. He just seems like a mistake on the football field waiting to happen. Like when it comes to turnovers, like he's been a meme this year. Will Levis has been literally a meme where I think it was, I forgot what game it was, where he just was just like this on the ground. It was it was straight off like a comedy. Like, I don't know why he felt like he should have, I don't know, his reaction to that, and just a number of plays where you just like wondering, like, what are you doing? And even the coach, you could see him very like, just passionate on the sideline. Just kind of, it seems like he's not really too happy with him as well. But hey, you never know. Next 8 games, Will Levis might play well, and they might end up just not taking a quarterback this year. But Tennessee could take a quarterback. Cleveland obviously can take a quarterback. Deshaun Watson, that's one of the worst trades in the history of the NFL. So I could see that happening, but Vegas right there. So, man, if we can get into the top 3, I'll feel good. I'll feel a little better.
Yeah, man. That was crazy. And this is the difference between like Nick Caserio and some of these other GMs. Houston has benefited greatly from 2 of the worst trades in the history of the NFL. In like back-to-back years, I want to say, right? It was the Deshaun Watson Cleveland, and then it was the Bryce Young, the Bryce Young trade. Oh, no, that wasn't them. That was somebody else. That was the Bears. But yeah, but the Nick Caserio got, but then they moved up and they got Will Anderson. So like, they made the trade to get Deshaun Watson, to get rid of Deshaun Watson, and they drafted CJ Stroud, moved up to get Will Anderson, and they have their cornerstone on offense and their cornerstone on defense. So that's how you do it. That's how you do it.
For a second, the Texans looked like a team that was just one of those, losing franchise in the NFL. Looked like they're going in the wrong direction, but man, they just look at like they made the right decision at head coach, GM. That it looks like that situation is pretty solid. Nick Caserio, I know he came from New England, but hey, he's making all the right moves. And then obviously probably the biggest move is CJ Stroud. He makes it work. Yeah. Hopefully we can have that type of success. Hopefully the Raiders can have that type of success, starting with, first of all, like if we're going to fast forward to the offseason, get that OC right. Whoever whether if AP ain't coming back, then let it be an offense. I would say, would you lean, if AP's not coming back, would you lean towards an offensive head coach?
See that's the thing. That's the thing that's difficult, right? Because it's a situation like, it's almost like in a draft, right? Where if you want to draft, it'll probably be like this past draft. If we wanted to draft a quarterback, right? Like we would have had to draft the 7th best quarterback. But if we wanted to draft a tight end, or if we wanted to draft a defensive player, we could draft the best tight end, or we could draft the best defensive player, right? Like the Raiders, if we get rid of Antonio Pierce, mark my words. Hear me now. Hear me loud. We are not going to get one of the top offensive minds. We're not. Nobody's going to come here and be like no agent is going to advise their client to step into this madness with the potential of them being fired after one season. Like, it's not happening. I don't care how much confidence that guy has, how much bravado he walks around with. They're not going to set themselves up to fail. We don't have a quarterback. We're the offensive line questions are running back, questions at wide receiver. Like, why is any offensive mind going to walk in here and be like, I can fix this? Like, they're not going to do it. So we can have our pick of like the 3rd or 4th best offensive head coach, or we can probably have our pick of the number 1 defensive head coach, right? So, that's kind of the decision we have to make at that point. So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, you make a good point. I mean, if you're firing, I remember that poll that happened during the offseason where they asked a lot of NFL agents the worst destination for clients, and I don't know if it was coaches or players, whatnot, but I think it was players, and they named the Raiders as one of the worst. And I thought like.
Number 2 behind the Panthers.
And I thought it was hate. I thought it was a little bit of a hate in there. I thought it was a little bit of like, just you probably looking back at the Raiders' history, especially with the transition from Al Davis to Mark Davis. But man, if they fire AP after one season, it kind of adds fuel to that whole pretty much everything that was being said around as far as the agents talking about them being one of the worst destinations to go to. But we'll see, man. I'm leaning towards the offensive head coach if AP is not the head coach. I want to go offensive head coach with potentially a franchise QB coming in. Like, why don't just go ahead and do it? Just go ahead. Just look at the most successful teams in the NFL right now. Can it work? Having a defensive coach? Yes, but it's just like it's a little bit trickier.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a little bit trickier. But if AP comes back, OC has to be the biggest priority going into the offseason, and then everything else going from there. That's the foundation. That has to be the foundation. You gotta start there. But before we move it along, man, we'll hit up the chat real quick. John Thompson says, going into the offseason, there was no plan. Sheesh. Hey, it looks like it. I mean, when Minshew and AOC is your quarterback, and I've seen some people in the chat talk about the offensive line. Yeah, I agree. Offensive line play was bad, but you know what? James Craig was fired, so they felt good about the players. They felt good about the so they're saying is the coaching wasn't getting it done. It's more so than the players. If you're firing James Craig just like in the middle of the season, you're basically saying it's his fault as far as the offensive line issues, which, you can take that however you want to take that. Steve says 100%. That's when I got confused about everything. When they fired Getsy, I assume AP wanted Jaden. Didn't get him and don't want to tie himself with another QB because if the QB fails, he's fired. Hey, possibly. I think this is during the conversation we had with Mo. It's possible. It seemed like it. It seemed like they didn't want to, like, hey, AP understands how that quarterback and that head coach and that relationship is huge. And if that doesn't work out, whoever they go with, I know that the success of that quarterback is going to be attached to him. And if the quarterback ain't playing well, they're like, you know what, let's just cut our ties with the coach. But it's tough.
I think they thought, and this falls squarely on Tom Telesco, this aspect of it, because I think they thought genuinely that Michael Penix was going to fall to them. I think Tom Telesco thought genuinely that was going to happen, and then last minute he made a last-ditched effort to move up on draft day, but at that point the decision had already been made within these other organizations. And they were unwilling to make a move. Atlanta had already decided they were going with Penix. They had that plan in place, and they went with them. So, that's kind of on time. Like, part of the draft is not only knowing who you want, but knowing who other teams want. And I don't think we did a good job organizationally. Whether that be his pro scouting division, whether that be Tom Telesco himself, like somebody dropped the ball there because we didn't have good intel.
Yeah, man. And you know what gives me a little bit of hope, man? Salute to Raider Primos. Ed, man, appreciate you coming through. If you haven't checked out, make sure to check him out on YouTube. Subscribe to my guy. And we're going to have him on soon too as well, man. I appreciate you coming through. But I think if we're gonna be positive about the team, Telesco and the quarterbacks that he's been around some good ones. All the way from his days with Indianapolis, Peyton Manning. I think he was there with Andrew Luck. He was part of that front office. Obviously, Phillip Rivers for years with the Chargers. And then I think you can say he had a hand, and he pretty much drafted Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that all to say that he knows what it looks like. He knows what a talented quarterback looks like because he's been around it. So that kind of gives me a little bit of confidence. But now, what I'm hoping is that he doesn't get override by anybody in the building just because of whatever. Because we all know that Mark Davis had that conversation. You see him talking to Shedeur Sanders and yada, yada, yada. And then you got Tom Brady in the building saying that, hey, we need to get this guy. But then, Telesco, who's done a pretty good job his first draft, I hope it's not a situation where he feels like, nah, this guy is better. And it happens all the time. It happened. It happened with. I think it might have happened with other teams. It happened with other teams during the draft process. It happened with the Chargers. No, it didn't happen with Chargers. I didn't think it happened with Chargers. I might have mistaken. I think they were going to take Tua if he was there.
They were going to take whichever guy. So that's why I don't give them credit for Justin Herbert. They were going to take whoever fell to them. Whoever fell to them, they were going to take. That's a situation where if Miami, remember who it happened to? It happened to Brian Flores. Brian Flores wanted Justin Herbert, and ownership there made them take Tua, and so then Tom Telesco happened to luck into Justin Herbert, but that's not who Brian Flores wanted. Brian Flores didn't want Tua; he wanted Justin Herbert. So that's why we really haven't seen him draft a real guy, go out there and identify the guy, and there are other options there, and he takes the right guy. He was in Indy. Peyton Manning, I believe he was already there. When he got to the Chargers, he inherited Phillip Rivers. Like, the only guy he's taken was Justin Herbert, but like at that point, it was essentially a two quarterback class, and it was you taking Tua or are you taking Justin Herbert at that point? So, and he lucked up and he lucked up and got the better guy. So, we'll see. Yeah. He's on the clock for sure this year. But he drafted well this year, so that gives us some hope.
But to be fair, though, like, both Coast quarterbacks were highly touted coming in. Like, those are one of the top quarterbacks on the board at the time. And Tua was going to get picked by somebody. And, obviously he coming from a big school like Alabama, like he was going to get drafted. Did he come into the league with questions? For sure. Did Justin Herbert come in the league with questions? For sure, because people were kind of questioning if he can replicate the success he had, all that good stuff. So, the talent wasn't the question, but man, the rest is history. I'm just saying Telesco's been around some good quarterbacks. That gives me a little bit of like, okay, we might be able to get this right. That's all I'm saying. I'm just trying to keep it positive. That's all I'm trying to do.
I feel you. I'm hoping the same.
All Eyes on G says, I'm not down to the point of submission of tanking, but Browns gotta beat the Saints this week. Yeah, I mean it's kind of like Browns would. I see the Browns taking a quarterback and the Saints for sure, because they're like, if we're going back to that tankathon list, literally they're one game out. So if the Raiders win this week, for example, then they overtake the Raiders, I believe, and they do play the Raiders this year. So was it a pause worthy? Hey, you know what?
I know that's what you hit me with the pause on overtake last week. So you got to hit with the.
Hey, it was just perfect timing. It was just perfect timing. But I'm gonna take your word for it, man. I'm gonna take your word for it. Man. So look, man. Hey, look. Let's move along real quick, man. Hey, it's that time. It is that time. It is flag on the play.
Personal foul, 69, offense. He was giving them the business.
So this week, man, on flag on the play, we got a few flags on the play. We got a couple. And this week, the first flag on the play, and I'm gonna let Severe take it away because I have mixed feelings with this because I'm not a Cowboys fan, but I could understand when I can relate when you don't agree with the decisions that the team is making, and in this case, head coach last year was a very it just brought last year memories with me being a Raider fan with Josh McDaniels. So recently, Parsons was I think after the game, they were talking to him, and I'm just gonna go ahead and play the click and we'll react to it. But this is flag on a play. He kind of blew it up. A little drama. But I'm gonna go ahead and play the clip here. Give me 1 second here. Let me put it up. Let's see here. All right. So flag on a play. Micah Parsons. Here we go.
Mike's on the final year of his contract, so outside there's of course going to be questions. What's the sentiment inside the locker room, and what do you tell people who are wondering about whether McCarthy will be your coach next year?
You know, that's above my pay grade about if Mike is coaching again next year. But, you know, all coaching aside, Mike can leave and go wherever he wants. But the guys, I kind of feel bad for guys like Zach Martin and guys who might be on their last year or on their way out, because that's who I wanted to hold the trophy for. You want to win games and do great things with those type of legends who put in more time and work than Mike McCarthy ever did. So those are the kind of guys that I have so much sympathy and hurt for.
Mike's on the final year of his contract, so outside there's of course going to be questions. What's the
So you hear it here. You hear Parson pretty much kind of throwing his head coach under the bus. Not kind of. He did throw him under the bus. Yeah. He's the best player on the team, arguably, and definitely the defense. Can we safely say that he's lost the locker room if the best player is coming out and just making these type of comments?
Yeah, basically. I mean, I think people kind of see the writing on the wall. They hear the whispers. Kind of knows Mike McCarthy is not coming back. There's all the speculation. They already know how Jerry Jones and his sons are. Jerry Jones is very vocal as an owner. Like you talking about an owner that's involved, that's close. I think Mark Davis is close.
Right.
Jerry Jones is an owner that's close. So people know what's going on. So I think he has no attachment to a guy like Mike McCarthy, right? Like that's not a guy he has. Like Zach Martin he's one of the leaders on the team. He's been one of the better players at his position, and there's a very good chance that he doesn't come back. And I think that kind of weighs on a guy like Micah Parsons, especially like the way that they're going out this season. So, but yeah, Mike McCarthy, like he's a lame duck head coach. Like when you're in your last year of a contract and you don't get an extension, and basically the owner is saying you could play this thing out, they kind of know like you out the door at the end of the year. Hey,
it's gonna be interesting because I feel like he's lost the locker room. If one of the best players is saying this, that means this is a conversation. This is a conversation that's being had in the locker room, and I'm thinking like, all right, if you lost the locker room, last year we had a situation where you can say that McDaniels lost the locker room, and we handled it a certain way. I wonder how the Cowboys handle it. Do they let it play out until the end of the season, and then get rid of him and replace him at head coach? You can see like, this goes back to what I said originally and like how the Raiders handled that situation and how the Cowboys are going to handle it, because I think we were talking about it earlier. You were saying Jerry Jones basically next day was trying to control the whole conversation that was happening with the comments. He misspoke and yada yada, but it was very clear. Like with Parson, Parson was like, "Hey, he's not coming back." Like he might as well have just said that. Like he's not coming back. We don't really care. I just feel bad for the veterans because and he just kept taking shots at his head coach. So flag on a play for creating that type of drama, but at the same time, it's kind of I'm mixed with it. It's just like what?
It's honest. It's honesty.
Yeah. If he lost the locker room, he lost the locker room. But it is what it is, man. But we'll call it a flag. We'll call it a flag. But we're not done yet. We're not done yet, man. So recently, a receiver was traded to the Baltimore Ravens. They're trying to gear up and go to the Super Bowl. And one of the moves that they made was a trade for Deontay Johnson. And he was able to suit up and play on a short week. I think it was against the Bengals last Thursday. Didn't play a whole lot of snaps. Had some moments where it wasn't as crisp of a debut that he would like. But he had a tweet at the end of that game or after the game saying there's always two sides to every story. So it's a little bit of like, this is a guy that's been traded like not once but I think twice during the offseason, and between now and the offseason. I think he went from the Steelers to the Panthers, from the Panthers to the Ravens. And there's speculation that he was unhappy with his role. He just to give you a little context, Here's the tweet originally from Deontay Johnson. You know, there's always two sides to every story. Then there's speculation talking about, you know, obviously he's not happy with his role, and he just got to the team. Now, that being said, they're actually playing the Steelers. The Ravens are playing, you know, their division rival, the Steelers, and Deontay Johnson used to play for the Steelers, right?
Yeah.
And Mike Tomlin was asked about that. So I'm going to go ahead and play this clip here.
Be honest.
And this is what Tomlin had to say.
Which I had thought a lot about it. He's not on a lot of their video, and so, you know, at this stage of the week, I don't know that I've weighed, you know, what he might mean to the matchup. They got more significant pieces with larger roles that are occupying my attention at this part of the week. To be honest with you, I had thought a lot about it.
Tomlin, what he doing here? Tomlin knew damn what he was doing right there. Man.
Shots fired. But flag on a play on Deontay Johnson if whatever, you know, all that noise is coming out is true. Yeah. But, you know, when you're after the game, you're saying there's two sides to every story. And, like, you know, obviously people are saying that you're complaining about your role, which, you know, I don't want to get into all the speculation, but, man, Tomlin took that speculation and ran with it. He was like, hey, we're not really focused on Deontay Johnson. We're focused on bigger players with bigger roles on the team. That's crazy. And he knew what he was doing. But definitely, it's definitely a big game for them. You know, the Ravens Steelers obviously one of the biggest rivalries in NFL football, and it's gonna be a game to watch. I want to see what Deontay Johnson does that game. But it's gonna be interesting. But definitely flag on a play of Deontay Johnson if whatever all this reports are true. We're gonna call it a flag. But that Tomlin was hilarious when I heard that. I was like, man, he came shooting.
Yeah,
but,
facts.
But yeah, we're not done. We're definitely not done, man. We got one more flag on a play, and this one, this is related to the Raiders. You know, this is related to the Raiders and the Dolphins. Yes. The Raiders play the Dolphins this week, so it's like two birds, one stone. This flag, if you want to let the people know what this flag on a play is.
So you know, we all know about Colin Cowherd. He's like a mega hater.
Yeah.
But he has a show. You know, he's been in the media business for a long time, been covering the NFL for a long time. Covers the NFL offseason, covers his draft, covers free agency. They were talking about keys to a Dolphins win. And when they were talking about keys to that particular win, he asked about the availability of a certain player. And it's very interesting, the player he asked about.
All right, here we go. Let's see what he had to say. Let's see here. Let me go ahead and play the clip.
Well, the Rams are still not healthy on the interior of their O-line. They're playing a rookie center. They don't want to. They're playing a pretty marginal left guard. So it's still not a great O-line. Is Christian Wilkins playing the D tackle for the Dolphins?
They're not going to do inactives until a little later today.
So, I mean, I think the Rams could have a little problem running the ball tonight through their interior. But, well, the Rams are still...
If y'all caught that, man, he over here, he's and this is not going into the Raider game, by the way. So it wasn't like he was confused with Christian Wilkins because they changed team. This is going into Monday Night Football, which was yesterday. So flag on the play, man. You got to get it right. Christian Wilkins plays for the Raiders. Come on, man.
Yeah. And if I recall correctly, I could be wrong on this, chat. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Colin Cowherd was one of the people that said that we overpaid for Christian Wilkins. Mm-hmm. I believe he was one of the people that said that. So, you know, that dude, he said it with confidence, and his co-host didn't even correct him. Co-host was just like, yeah, I'm gonna let this slide, bro. I ain't trying to fumble the bag, you know, by correcting the host. But that's how, you know, these dudes be faking it. He's like, they're playing a rookie center, they don't want to play him. They're playing a rookie left guard, they don't want to play him either. Like, bro, like you're faking it till you make it right now, man. You getting notes from the producer, and as soon as you go off script, you clearly don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so that wraps up our flag on a play. Look, at the end of the day, like Colin he's kind of been one of the guys in the media that we hate because when he talks about the Raiders, he always has some type of agenda. He always saying, "Oh, the Raiders this and that, a third," or whatever the case may be. But it is what it is. We got to call it like we see it. But that wraps up Flag on a Play. Let's hit up the chat real quick. Old School FCFS says, "What if we go on a run, you guys? If we do, that means
if we do. I mean, that's good for your heart. You know, going on a run. You know, you should make sure you stretch good, stay hydrated.
Right,
it's really good exercise. Really good exercise. Very good. But you know, hey, if that's what you like to do, bro, you know, hey, you trying to drop some pounds, get your heart rate up, all that stuff, bro. That, you know, hey, I don't know where you stay at, bro, but you know."
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna go on a run, but if they do, I'm gonna be happy. I mean, I'd rather be wrong. I want the Raiders to win at the end of the day, but at what cost, though? At what cost? Do the Raiders win and we just miss the playoffs and then we miss out on drafting a quarterback again because we don't have make it make sense. It gotta make sense. If we make a run and we find out that Desmond Ridder is the Raiders franchise quarterback because he's playing that good for the team, hey, I'm not mad at it. I don't care how it happens. If I just know that the Raiders need a franchise QB. We need something from that position. We need to start winning football games. But at the end of the day, like at this point, I don't know, man. I don't know. It just really depends. I mean, if we get to the playoffs and we win a playoff game, and I'm not gonna lie, like I want the Raiders. I have the last time we've seen playoff football. I'm trying to think about it.
That was when we lost to the Bengals, bro. That is the last time we won a playoff game. Yeah, that was like 2002. So it's been a long time. It's been quite a drought. But yeah, if that's not gonna happen, bro. We'd have to win every single game for the rest of the year, and we need a whole bunch of help too. Right. And you know that definitely ain't finna happen. So you know, just bottom this thing out, man. Just bottom this thing out. That's all we need to do right now. Bottom it on out.
Hey man, appreciate it. Cool, Kevin, the building, man. Appreciate you coming through. We got people coming through left and right.
Oh yeah, man. I don't want to skip the line, but I saw somebody they were giving my son Cool Kev some incorrect information. The Raiders did indeed sign Andre James to a contract extension. They signed him in March before free agency started. So he is not playing on a contract that he signed in 2021, I believe was the first time he signed the contract. He is indeed playing on a new contract. So, you know, Cool Kev is young and impressionable. Don't be trying to trick him on here, right? Do not be trying to trick him on here.
Raider Ray says Bowers, JPJ, Glaze, not bad. Yeah, definitely, because Glaze looks like he might be a future starter at that right tackle spot. JPJ, it looks like the future center of the Raiders. He's currently the starter, and I don't see Andre James kind of taking that spot back. It doesn't really make any sense. Like, let him play it out the whole season. Let him get used to that position, and he seems like a natural back there. And I think Vinny said the other day, like, JPJ is literally winning off just talent alone because he doesn't have all the technical aspects of the position down, which is crazy to even think about. So you got two guys back. You got Bowers, who's in his first year leading the league, or at least I know due to bye week, maybe the numbers might be skewed a little bit where he probably lost.
I think he's still leading though.
But he's probably top 3, you know what I mean? Top 3, top 4 in catches and that's leading all positions. And this is his first year. He's 21 years old, so he's going to get better. So there's a lot for him to figure out. He's just a rookie. So that's one side of it. Then you got JPJ, where you hear Vinny talk about like how he doesn't really have all the technical aspects of his position down, and he's out there making plays, dominating at his position. Maybe dominating might be a little bit strong, but it's a big difference when he's in there compared to Andre James. I'll say that. Diehard Raider says Shador Sanders may pull a Eli Manning and force his way to the Raiders. He wants to be a Raider, and his dad wants that too. That's going to be interesting to see that. because I thought that was probably one of the most random things to happen was when Eli Manning forced his way to the Giants. But I wonder how that's gonna work. I wonder how that's gonna work.
Yeah, but Devontae Adams wanted to be a Raider too, and we see how that played out. So,
no, facts, man. Hey, you know what too? Some flag on a play nominees that didn't make the cut, but are definitely flag on a play worthy. We can't have flag. We can call flag. We can call like unlimited amount of flags, right? And one of the flags was obviously the Jets continue to lose. Devontae continues not to be on the same page with Aaron Rodgers. And I think the Jets are like what, 3-7? Are they 3-7 at this point? Like,
yeah.
So it's just like Devontae forcing his way to the Jets just even looks worse each and every week. And the Jets are just not a good football team. They're just not good. They got dominated last weekend against the Cardinals, who, if y'all follow along weekly game picks, I picked the Jets. I don't know why I did that, but that's gonna stop. I'm gonna put them in the category of the Panthers. I'm done picking the Jets.
Oh man, the Jets will come out and win it. As soon as you said this, the Panthers will start winning games.
You know what I did it? I was hoping when we got when we got him. The reason what I was hoping for the Jets, and I know this might be reaching, for them to win, make it to the playoffs, that nothing is close to happening. And what I'm referring to is if Devontae reaches All-Pro status this season, or if the Jets go to the AFC Championship game and/or Super Bowl, the Raiders get a second-round pick instead of a third-round, which is not going to happen. It's not even close to happening. So it's not even close.
The league might make us give the pick back. Like, yeah, this was trash. Like,
man, I ain't golly. Man, coach sipping Jamba Juice out of a straw. It's nice and all that Sanders wants to be a Raider, but he needs to be a generational talent. Whew, I like that. Carr wanted to be a Raider too. That didn't help the Raiders much. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I agree 100% as far as the Raiders need to get the most talented player at that position. It might be Sanders. It might be Sanders, because what we do know, I think, without a doubt, I think we're going to get a quarterback in the first round. I think there's too much. Even if Telesco wants to go with his best player available strategy, I think there's too many people in the building that will literally be like, you're fired if you don't pick a quarterback. If you don't find a way to pick a quarterback in the first round, your job might be in jeopardy. That's just how bad it is.
I can see this fool taking like Will Campbell from LSU. I can see it, bro. I can see him doing it, man. I can see it.
Man, that'd be crazy. That'd be wild.
We went with Will Johnson, cornerback from Michigan, best player on the board.
That'd be wild. But hopefully they revamp that whole quarterback room. Hope Minshew gets let go. Hope AOC, nice guy. He could stay. He's on an undrafted rookie contract, so it's not like he's getting paid. But it's just like, hey, if someone's better on the roster, it's come training camp. Hey, if we're being honest, like we need to get the best players on a football team. We can't have any players on scholarship or because we like them, they're good guys or whatever the case may be. Raiders need to win. Is over after this year. Okay, so they're probably waiting. They're probably going to finish out the season. Because look, they lost the quarterback for the year. So, at this point, like, what are they going to gain from changing the head coach at this point? I mean, Parson is kind of blowing it up a little bit by like calling him out and stuff like that, which kind of makes it real bad for Jerry Jones and that whole front office. If they want to continue to keep him as head coach, it's just going to be, notable quotables, flags on a play every week. Just put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, he went into the season as a lame duck, so the people kind of knew, like, if he didn't like have a great season, he's going into the season without an extension. Like, a coach you want to keep, you never let him go to the last year of their contract. Like, it's just Like it's like a player, the same thing. You never really get if you really want to keep them or you really feel that they're integral piece of your franchise, you extend them before they get to that last year. So the fact that they didn't kind of told everybody that they were thinking about moving on.
Coward was a Seahawks fan growing up, and he said he hated the Raiders. This makes a whole lot of sense.
Makes sense.
I can see that. He's disgusting. All right, let's just leave it at that. Daniel Kim has a friendly reminder, man. King of Mods here says clock in and hit the likes and subscribe to our guys. Yeah, we're going live on both channels. So if you haven't subscribed, make sure to subscribe to both channels. Appreciate everybody coming through. Who do you see us winning? Who do you see us winning?
Oh, in terms of games, who can we beat? Ourselves every week. Other than that, I don't see us. Other than that, I don't see us beating any. I mean, maybe like this game is a dangerous game because we're coming in with like 2 weeks, preparation. We're gonna be juiced off the Getsy being fired. Juiced off of a lot of teams don't got new film or Ritter. Miami has a kind of a questionable defense, so I guess and Michael Mayer's back. People probably be excited about that. So I can see us doing some weird stuff like winning this game. Then we got the Saints.
Well, let's take a look. Let's take a look real quick. So we got the Dolphins this week. Broncos.
Nah, no.
Yeah, I don't. At first, I circled this as a W before the season, but now just like I don't know. They're just playing better football. And then we got. Let me go ahead and pull this up. Got the Chiefs. I don't even know about that. That's that Black Friday game.
Oh nah, bro. They about to. Yeah, it's in Kansas City too. Nah, bro. They about to.
I'm just looking at like how are we gonna score points? I'm just like trying to figure out how are we gonna score points. We got we're going against the Dolphins, who defensively they're not a juggernaut, but like Desmond Ritter is our quarterback, so we're kind of the juggernaut for sure. And then we got Tampa Bay.
Nah, Baker Mayfield beat us on 2 days preparation when we had Derek Carr and Devontae Adams. Like you think he could beat Desmond Ritter and Trey Tucker? Like come on, bro.
And our only probably primetime game, if you're not counting the Kansas City Black Friday game, which is like kind of one of those weird games, but this one is a classic Monday Night Football matchup against the Falcons. The Raiders, I don't think they're going to win this game. I just don't think.
I mean, Desmond Ritter might go crazy that game though against his old team.
If he's still starting, you know what I mean. The way
start by then.
every week is going to be a different quarterback, and if AOC comes back, I think there might be a possibility he might come back this season. Possibly. He might be a starter again this season, which is crazy to think. Jacksonville,
that could be.
Yeah, there's a win. That could be a possible win right there.
Yeah, that could be one. That's gonna be one of those games where both teams are actively trying to lose. It's whoever does a better job of attempting to lose the game. It could be one of those situations. Same with the Saints too.
Same thing with the Saints. They're going downhill, and then the Chargers. I don't know. I can't even say that we could win that game either. Yeah, it's looking rough. To be honest with you, it's looking real tough right now. But if the Raiders go, let's see, they're 2, so they can finish like 4-13 possibly.
Yeah, no, it's going 2-15. We going 2. We going 2-15 for sure, man.
Yeah. You said we're going 2-15.
Bro, we going 2-15, bro. It's we going 2-15, bro. We better go 2-15. And it's like not even say I swear to God, if we win some games, bro, I'm gonna be, how pissed I'm gonna be, bro. I'm gonna be so bad. Oh my goodness, bro. I'm gonna start watching arena football. I'm just like, let's get these dudes.
Oh man, but hey, John Thompson's best center since Barrett Robbins.
Oh, bro. I hope that's sarcasm.
He's trying to be funny. He got to be funny. Because he skipped over.
Rodney Hudson.
Rodney Hudson was solid, bro. He was real good.
He was better than solid. Rodney Hudson was mid.
Was he? He was probably our best offensive lineman for like a few years.
Yeah.
You think about it.
Nah, it was him. I mean, the only thing you could probably put close second, maybe Donald Penn those years. Because when Donald Penn went that whole year without giving up a single sack outside of the one that broke Derek Carr's leg, unfortunately. So it was either him. Well, it was him. But you go him, KO. Gabe was probably like behind KO and Penn and Rodney Hudson. We had a good line that year. It's just Austin Howard was the weak link, and he was better than any right tackle we didn't have for a minute.
Yeah. But hey, look, man. Hey, let's move it along real quick, man. We got notable quotables. This is where we find quotes around the league, around the team that we find that are notable, and we want to talk about. And we kind of saved this. We could have made this a flag on the play, but recently, Shane Waldron, offensive coordinator. This is for the Bears fan earlier, talking about the Bears earlier. He was fired, and one of the nominees for flags on a play was the fact that before he was fired, there's a report or speculation out there that's saying that the veteran players in that locker room wanted Caleb Williams to be benched, and they wanted Tyson Bagent to start over Caleb Williams. Yeah. So, and last week, one of the flags on the play was the number one receiver over there, DJ Moore, walking off the field before the play was over. Yeah. So, and then walking past, also walking, like when Caleb Williams got hurt, got up, and then he's coming onto the field, just bumps into him like he wasn't even there. Like, it was something to keep an eye on. And now we kind of hear, and you know what? I'm gonna shout out to Severe, man, because he kind of called it with Caleb Williams. Because it was never the talent with Caleb Williams. I know you're big on Jaden Daniels coming out, and one of the things you had against Caleb Williams is the fact that he wasn't a leader. He didn't show the qualities of being a leader, especially going into the NFL where that's a premium is to be a leader at that quarterback position. But if you want to give people a little intro before we play this clip.
Yeah, man. So, we talk a lot about offensive coordinator. We talk a lot about like the plays being called and the schemes, but a lot of times it has a lot to do with the player, right? And we brought up Shane Waldron. That's a perfect example. Last year, Shane Waldron, he was like the belle of the ball. We see kind of turn around the career of Geno Smith. But now he gets over there to the Bears and he's not having that same success. And there's another guy who I identified early on who I wanted as a Raiders OC. He had failed in the previous stop. And now he's in another stop and he's having a lot of success. And I think that has a lot to do with the quarterback he has and not as much to do with him personally as an offensive coach.
And here goes NFL insider Tom Pelissero.
I'll turn it up a little bit, bro.
I don't know that when
Hold on 1 second, y'all. Having some technical difficulties. Go here and play this clip.
Know that when Cliff was hired, that people were necessarily celebrating that either in Washington, because the last impressions you had of Cliff Kingsbury was Kyler Murray screaming at him on the sideline, and kind of where things have been in Arizona down the stretch of his tenure there, but caught the right ended up in the right situation with the right quarterback in Jaden Daniels, who honestly came in probably being more pro-ready than Caleb Williams just because of the way that he had played from the pocket at LSU, because of the growth that he had done there. That's taken nothing away from Cliff, but he may have ended up with a quarterback who was a little bit closer to being ready to function at a high level in the NFL. I don't know that when Cliff...
So he was saying his main point was the fact that Cliff is having success because he's playing with a quarterback that was more ready to play right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you kind of see, and you kind of see like that's happened. That's the trend around the league. Like guys that are more pro ready, that played in a more pro style system, that play from the pocket more consistently in college. They get to the league, and it's good to be able to do that other stuff, right? But all the other stuff is secondary to the main thing, and the main thing is being able to deliver the ball on time, on target, and with anticipation. And that's one of the things I said about Jaden. That's one thing I said about Michael Penix as well. A lot of people were worried about Michael Penix not being able to run. That's why I have Michael Penix as my quarterback too. Not only because both of those guys had displayed the ability to throw with anticipation, and to throw at a high level, to all parts of the field, but they also showed those leadership qualities, and those leadership qualities I never really saw out of Caleb Williams. And so I guess I don't think if you put Caleb Williams with Cliff Kingsbury, I don't think the Commanders are having that same level of success. I think a lot of their success is stemming from what Jaden Daniels was able to do. And we've seen Jaden Daniels. We saw him will the team to victories in the past. And that's when you get guys that are playing above the scheme, above the play call, and they're making the plays. There's another quote I was going to pull where they talked about like CJ Stroud on the play, where it was a guy, I think he was throwing the ball to Tank Dell. And before Tank Dell had even broke on his route, before Tank Dell looked for the ball, broke his route, anything, CJ Stroud was already throwing the ball to the part of the field where Tank Dell was going to be. It's and that's the highest level of quarterback play when you're playing with that type of anticipation, because you're trusting your receiver to get there, but you also know where he's going to be. You know what the coverage is going to do. You know what you've done to manipulate the coverage to do what you wanted them to do in order for you to deliver the ball to that spot. And so that's something like a play call can't change that, right? That takes high level quarterback play, and that's what we've been lacking for a long time.
Yeah, but then at the same time too, I remember that whole interview process, and I remember that the Bears did interview Cliff Kingsbury, and then they went ahead and interviewed Shane Waldron, and they hired Shane Waldron. So I think that Cliff could have easily been a Bear. He could have, but I think the Bears wanted to go with Shane Waldron, who had some success with Geno Smith, did some good things there. Geno Smith right now is not the same quarterback he was under Shane Waldron. So I think they wanted him to be the guy to develop Caleb Williams. It just wasn't the right decision, in my opinion. Well, obviously hindsight's 2020, but it didn't work out, right? So I think Cliff could have easily been the offensive coordinator for the Bears. I think the Bears just chose, Shane Waldron over Cliff, because after that, what team interviewed him, offered him a position, he accepted the position, and then have a change of heart, and then goes to the Commanders, which you can't blame him. You know what I mean? It's a way better position. The Commanders have the number 2 pick, but they're pretty much guaranteed to basically be picking a quarterback. So I just think that Cliff just chose the best situation that he was offered, and that was the Commanders. And if it was the Bears, he would have been with. I think he would have been with the Bears. I think because he was with Caleb Williams with USC. I'm sure there's a relationship there. I'm sure there was a situation where I'm sure that he probably would have been open to coaching Caleb. So, but I get you. You can't argue because Jane Daniels is killing it right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're not done. We got another notable quotable, and this one is just more of just admiring from afar, man, because the Raiders ain't winning right now, but there are teams who are out there winning games. And when I say winning games, I'm talking about one of the best football teams in the NFL. And I'm just going to go ahead and play a snippet or a clip of the Lions locker room after a win. So let me go ahead and play this clip here. I had it up here. All right, here we go.
My God, man. Man, that is the definition of resiliency. You guys just kept banging away. right? We did whatever we had to do, and we just bought our time. Defense, that was outstanding, man. That was outstanding. And we knew it was just a matter of time. Offense, we get our points, man. Bates, that was freaking ginormous. All right. Look, and I just say this again. This is what great teams do. This is what great teams do. Even when you're having an off day, you find a way, man. You freaking find a way and you will it to happen. That's what you did today. That's what you did. I got 3 game balls. All right? I'm going to start here. All right? This guy is from here. All right? This guy's from here. No points in the second half. 2 takeaways. He is the defensive coordinator.
I love this team!
Defense, 4 tackles, 2 picks. CD! 2 picks.
I just want to say one thing, man. I swear to God, every game I'm coming out here and giving y'all my best, man. Like, I don't give a what's going on. Whether we down or we up, y'all got me. Y'all got me.
Last but not least, 2 field goals, one of them 58 yards, the other one a game winner, 52 yards, 2 extra points. Mr. Bates!
Hey, good win. Shout out my boys Jack and Hogan, man. I love you guys, and man, I'm just so happy to be a part of that operation. Love you guys.
Break it down, man.
Hey, if that ain't a lesson, it ain't over till it's over. That's what it is, boys. Way to fight all day. We're different. We're different than all 31 in this league, all right? Way to go. Win on 3. 1, 2, 3. Win!
Hey, man, I just heard that. The Lions is locked in, man. If they don't win the Super Bowl, they look like a team that's going to be in the Super Bowl. It just feels like everybody's locked in, from the players, the coaches. Ben Johnson is over here, like, pretty much taking his time. Like, he could have been a head coach, like, what, 2 years ago?
Last year for sure. Possibly 2 years ago, but last year for sure.
He could have been a head coach a lot sooner than what people are saying right now, and it's because he believes in what the Lions are building, that whole culture. That is where I want the Raiders to be. I want the Raiders to get to that point where they are able to, everybody's on the same page. You heard it from the coaches. You heard from the coach there, Aaron Glenn, defensive coordinator, obviously the head coach, Dan Campbell. You heard from Carlton Davis, cornerback, who had a pretty solid game. You can see, like, hey, he's telling his teammate that he's going to do everything it takes to win.
Yeah.
Man, I just want the Raiders to win, man. That's just as simple as that. But I know it's going to be a process. It's going to be a process. But yeah, shout out. Yeah, the Lions for sure are going to be that team this year. I can see them get into the Super Bowl. I know it's like usually it's the hottest team going into the playoffs, but
yeah,
Lions, man, I feel like they're my Super Bowl pick right now. But yeah, man, hey, that wraps up notable quotables. Let's get into the chat real quick, man. Appreciate everybody coming through. Make sure to clock in. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Man, we got people talking about Sanders. Clark Oreo says Sanders doesn't have a great arm. Cool Kev saying Sanders high maintenance. People are not big on Sanders right now. I'm looking in the chat right now. Anyone else? Anyone else notice that Mark Davis is not the name as a owner of the Raiders? It only says Tom Brady as owner. Where is this, James?
I ain't peeped that.
Where is this on, like, the Raiders website, or is what? Where does it say that?
I ain't peeped that at all.
Cool Cat says Cowher still butthurt from Bo running over Bosworth. Probably.
Fact.
Man. Who we starting at QB this week? I think it's gonna be Desmond Ridder.
It's gonna be Ridder.
It's gonna be Desmond Ridder. Which, hey, I want to see. I want to see what that looks like. I want to see what that looks like. Because I'm tired of seeing Minshew out there. I'm tired of seeing AOC. I want to see someone a lot more talented. Does it mean that the Raiders are going to win, or our offense is going to look better? I don't know about that. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Now, I'm checking Raiders.com, man. A big old banner at the top which says ownership, says Mark Davis. There's nobody else on there.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know maybe where he's seen that.
Yeah.
Let's see. So basically winning shit. Basically. Just another DJ says somebody needs to flex that Monday Night Football game against the Falcons. Raiders struggle against the NFC South.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, that's gonna be a massacre on Monday. Massacre Mondays. I don't know, man. It's gonna be crazy. Especially because you think about it, like the way the Falcons been playing. They've been pretty. They played some good football this year. I mean, they've won some games. Kirk Cousins looks good. He looks like he's back from that injury. Offense looks like it's better. Raheem Morris.
Two good running backs.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So look, everybody coming through. Let's see. Saffold holds the Raiders and got that big contract for the Rams. Yeah, I remember that. I think.
No, look. We talk about Mark Davis being too involved. That was one time Mark Davis got involved, and it was the right decision. Reggie McKenzie was trying to sign him, and Roger Saffold, I think he had already been with the Rams. And he had played, like, he started off at tackle, but he was injured all the time. They moved him to guard. And then Reggie McKenzie was trying to sign him to play left tackle. And he was coming off an injury, and Mark Davis was like, bro, if you don't get this shit out of my face.
Well, you know what? You know what? Where was that Mark Davis with Jimmy G?
I think at that point he was letting Ziegler and Josh McDaniels run the show. So like I said, in the past, he tries to do stuff differently, and sometimes it's just it ain't worked out for him. It's not worked out for him.
First overall pick doesn't mean shit. Well, hey, look, it means that we possibly are going to get our quarterback of the future. So I don't know what you're talking about. I want to see that happen. I wouldn't as much as anybody else, but that's just me.
The first overall pick doesn't guarantee you're going to pick the right player, but it guarantees you get to pick whoever the hell you want to. So
right,
it gives you first dibs.
Right. Cool. Cass, Cliff had success with Kyler Murray, now Jaden, so you have to give him some credit. I'm not sure if he had like great success with Kyler Murray as a head coach. I feel like I think Cliff might just be a classic case of better OC than head coach. You know what I mean? It is what it is. And he's had a hand in. He's been around some good QBs. I mean, Patrick Mahomes. I know there was another QB that played for the Broncos, I believe, and the Vikings. Former quarterback who was an NFL quarterback. He played a hand in his development. More of a backup quarterback, but not. I'm trying to remember his name. Man. But obviously he was there with Caleb Williams last season, and now Jaden Daniels. Hey, look, you got and that was AP's first choice, so you got to give AP a little bit of grace there because that was
both those guys were AP's first choice.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels and Cliff. Yeah, AP. You got to give him a little bit of grace because he could have got his guy. If it is what it is. But look, just another DJ says, you see what Sean Payton looked after Drew Brees and before Bo Nix. A good QB is going to elevate a play caller. Whoo, hey man. Hey, you right about that.
Yes,
Facts,
sir.
100%. But let's move it along real quick, man. Let's get to what's real, what's not. This is where we say a statement. Y'all react to it and let us know if it's real or it's not. Obviously, we're going to do the same. I'm going to go ahead and say the first statement here. Let's see here. And the first statement here is a better head coach would have been able to take the same Raiders team and contend for a playoff spot. So I'm going to repeat that. A better head coach would have been able to take the same Raiders team and contend for a playoff spot. Is that real or is it not? Let me know in the chat. Severe, man, take it away, man. Do you think it's real or is it not?
It's not real, man. Not this year. Maybe if you take the team we thought we were going to have at the beginning of the year, possibly. But even then, the quarterback play has been too bad. The running game has been too bad. I don't think Jesus Christ could have been coaching the team, and I don't think we would have went to the playoffs. So it was just one of those. This is one of those years where too many things went wrong. So that's why I'm not ready to give up on Antonio Pierce after this year, just because of all the things that have like all the disaster. The Malcolm Kuntz thing was the first shoe to drop. The Devontae Adams stuff, Christian Wilkins, Colton Miller not being healthy, JPJ not being healthy, Munford going down. That was a kind of a blessing in disguise because we were able to discover DJ Glaze in that instance. But it's just been so many things that have gone wrong this year that it's too much to overcome.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think that's real as well, because I think the team, we dealt with injuries. We don't have a quarterback. People mentioned in chat, which I 100% agree. Offensive line was definitely not on the same page, which kind of made sense why Minshew started early on. It was because there's no way AOC was going to be successful behind that O-line. And Minshew wasn't successful behind that O-line. Imagine AOC, who cannot move back there, getting pressured every single play. That's not going to be a good look for this period. And, we have to work with what we got. Now, does that mean that AP is a good head coach and he's a head coach for the future? Hey, look, you can make that. It could go either way. But that being said, you can't tell me that like a coach can come here and make this look good. Like the Raiders have some holes. They got some they got some questions that need answering this offseason. And the biggest one is that quarterback position. And I think definitely it's not real. Let's go ahead and see what people are saying in the chat real quick, man.
Look, AOC started one game and had to go on IR. They think he should have started the year. He started one game and immediately went on IR, bro. It's crazy.
Let's see. Oh, okay. Old school AFCFS says, yeah, not real. Okay. All right. John Thompson says AP was set up for failure. Okay, so I guess he's saying it's not real. R. Jenkins says it ain't real. I don't care if it's Don Shula. Ain't nobody was winning with Booger Eater and Fat Favre.
Fat Favre is hilarious. That is hilarious.
That's funny. Yeah. Melvin Everett says our QB room is beyond trash. Not real. All right. Yeah. Hey, man. I see John. Not real. Okay. All right. We got people saying. Raider Wolf says real. Says real.
Raider Wolf thinks AOC is a guy.
Maybe you know what? Would you say Mike Tomlin would figure out? I mean, Mike Tomlin can make a case. But Mike Tomlin.
I don't think this team go to the playoffs though. I think Mike Tomlin will have us to like 8 and 9, possibly. But but even then, with all our defenses, all our injuries on defense. Remember, the people in Pittsburgh were trying to get rid of Mike Tomlin because he can't hire offensive coordinator. Like they wanted him gone last year because he can't hire offensive coordinator. And guess what happened? He gets a better offensive coordinator. Quarterback still sucks, but they were winning because of their defense. And then Russell Wilson comes onto the scene. Everybody criticizes him for starting Russell Wilson, and then they instantly are exponentially better on offense because of Russell Wilson over Justin Fields, who's still trash. So right. I mean, it's I think Mike Tomlin can get us to 8, 9, 9 to 8, maybe. But even then, he's one of the greatest coaches of all time. Yeah,
definitely want to win. And his consistency to literally be at least 500 every season that he's been a head coach is just a crazy stat. So that's why I threw him out there. I'm like, yeah, man, it might be a possibility with him because he'll figure out a way to try to win games. But like you said, he's figured out a way to be 500 or above, but doesn't necessarily mean that he's went to the playoffs every year. So I'm not sure if he would have went to playoffs with this team. But who knows, man? Who knows? That Tomlin, I got a whole lot of respect for him as a head coach. That being said, we got one more what's real, what's not. And this next one is, should the Raiders fire AP? Hold on 1 second. My bad. So should the Raiders fire AP, they will be one of the most attractive destinations for the top head coach candidates in the next hiring cycle. So I'm going to repeat this again. Should the Raiders fire AP, they'll be one of the most attractive destinations for the top head coaching candidates in the next hiring cycle. Is that real or is it not?
It's not real. We kind of touched on it earlier. Like nobody, like they already have a reputation as being one of the worst organizations in the league. As voted on by front office people and by agents. If we go through this, this year where we fire another head coach without giving him time to really build anything, why would any other candidate ever want to set up shop here, right? Like stake the future of their NFL careers on coming to the Raiders and having success. Like no intelligent person would do that. Like they say, it's fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Like these agents keep sending people there, and the Raiders keep firing your clients. Like, obviously, you're the fool at that point. So I don't think anybody's going to advise their clients to get here. We're going to have to go the retread route, and sometimes that can work. Or sometimes you get lucky and we get a retread that works out for us. I think Jack Del Rio comes to mind as a guy that had a year of success. But remember, there was a time, and people think, people will still come and take the job. Remember, there was a time when we were so bad as a team that we had to try to hire Steve Sarkisian, and even he said no. So we had to resort to hiring his friend that he brought with him to look at the job. That's how bad things got, and that's how bad things could be again.
Look, I'm gonna say real. I'm gonna say real, and I do agree that the Raiders firing coaches after 1 year makes it less attractive. And obviously, we talked about that report. I forgot, was it The Athletic that might have did that poll where they spoke to agents and they pretty much listed the worst destinations for their clients, and the Raiders were there at near the top. All that being said, the Raiders have one of the best facilities in the NFL, hands down, bar none. One of the biggest things
thanks to who? Thanks to who, Pharaoh? Thanks to who? Answer the question.
No, Mark did his thing. Mark did his thing. Like on the business side, man, I ain't got a problem with Mark, man. He's doing his thing, bro. He probably doesn't care what I have to say as far as what's going on with the Raiders. But when it comes to the football side, that's where I'm like, hey, look, just have someone else do the job. Let it run itself like you have it with your WNBA team. But, we could keep talking about that all day, every day. But I'll say that I still think that the Raiders are still an attractive destination because we have one of the best facilities. We're going to have over $100 million in cap space. We're going to have a top 10 pick, possibly top 5, maybe top 3, possibly number 1 pick in the upcoming NFL draft, which means that whoever's incoming is going to be drafting a young QB. So when it comes to head coaches, I think that's an attractive destination for a guy who's coming in because you're going to have every resource at your disposal. So I think, in my opinion, it's real. It's real. Let's check with chat real quick, man. Diehard Raider says he agrees. He says it's real. John Thompson says it's not real. All Eyes on Geek. All Eyes says it's false. Come on, All Eyes. I thought we were on the same page, man. What's going on, man? Up for Review says nothing about the Raiders is attractive, bogus as shit. Old School says not real. If we do, who's replacing him? No. It's not about AP. I think a lot of people are saying, I think they're taking it as, well, I mean, Old School did at least. It's not about AP getting fired. It's more so if he gets fired, are the Raiders an attractive destination for coaches or even players? Just if you want to throw it out there, if you want to make it generalize it, are they attractive destination? I'm saying that it is. I'm saying it's real. Obviously, Severe, you heard him speak on it a little bit, and he's pretty much saying that it's not. Let us know. Fear Raider says as real as strippers, but
you know where my guy stands on that one.
It's funny. James says it's on Google. Google Las Vegas Raiders. Skull Torres says owner all in blue. It's Brady only. Okay, I'm about to do that right now. Do that right now. See. So Google Las Vegas Raiders. I'm going to do that right now. Let's see. Oh, you're right. You're right. Let me go ahead and put this on the screen. Shout out to, hey, man, this might be the future. Who knows?
I know, right?
Let's see. There you go. Las Vegas Raiders. Owner.
Oh, that's crazy.
Tom Brady. That got to be like some type of typo or whatever. But
that's Wikipedia, though. That's Wikipedia.
Yeah, someone typed this in. They're trying to be funny.
Anybody can edit that.
Yeah. So you're right. You're right. All right. Okay. Hey, that's
interesting though.
Yeah, they're looking at that might be a sneak peek preview to the future. That might be the plan all along for Mark Davis and Tom Brady, because we all know that Mark Davis doesn't have a successor. We all know that whole situation, but Raider Roof might be real considering our draft pick position. That's what I'm saying. You got to consider our draft pick, how much cap space that we're going to have, and we have arguably the best facilities in the NFL. Literally, Bill Belichick walked into the building and was like, he's never seen anything like it. Like he was amazed. And hopefully Bill Belichick is not a coach, not being considered for head coaching spot if that spot is available. But I'm just saying, you got the all-time greatest coach all coming in there and just like giving props to the facility and like, man, this is the best facility he's ever seen. So that stuff like that matters, and it makes the Raiders destination, to me, in my opinion,
Mark Davis.
Place.
Ooh, excuse my allergies. Sorry about that.
Hey, that's shout out to Mark. Shout out to Mark. Shout out to Mark, man. Just shout out to Mark.
Nah,
just just stop firing coaches and GMs, man. Just stop firing coaches and GMs.
The people want him fired. That's what I'm saying. The people want Antonio Pierce fired right now. It's like I said, it's not a situation like if like cool, like it's like being going to a haunted house, right? It's like you go to a haunted house, like this house is haunted. Like the two previous families that lived here, they both died. But honey, did you see that pool? Like this, you gotta like. Did you see? Look at the patio. That's a nice facility. Like they don't care about that, bro. Like, am I going to survive this tenure? I don't care how nice the facilities are if I only have a year to enjoy them. Like, you have a nice deck. You got a barbecue. All that stuff. You got a gazebo. All that stuff. I don't care how nice none of that stuff is if I'm not going to live to see it. And that's how these coaches are going to be thinking. Like, ooh, this is a nice-ass stadium. Like, too bad I'm going to get fired after 17 games. Like, it don't mean nothing.
It's true. It's true. Now, you make a good point. But, hey, look, I still think the Raiders are an attractive destination for an incoming coach. It's not like he's going into – if this was Oakland, like, when you hear, like that podcast, I remember we were joking around like I don't watch that podcast because what was her name? Skizzly, I don't forget what her name was. But
dang, I forgot. Yeah, I know you're talking about.
But anyways, I end up watching the episode.
I ain't gonna say her name, but I know you're talking about.
I end up watching the episode. It's on Raiders YouTube channel, and they had like Donald Penn on there. They had Darren McFadden on there, and they were just talking about like their stories with playing for the Oakland Raiders. And they talked about how hard it was to bring in free agents to Oakland.
Yeah.
Like that was a real thing. Like that was a real thing that wasn't made up. So, and a lot of that had to do with, obviously California, the money, like, you know what I mean? You hear former players talk about like living in the Bay Area at the time, like in California, just period, it's just really expensive, tax. Yeah. You got to take that into consideration. The facilities in Oakland weren't that good. It just so many different things that weren't going, that weren't working well for the Raiders when it comes to bringing income. And I remember the Raiders really wanted to get I can't even say his name, Sue. Ndamukong Suh.
Suh?
Yeah. I remember that like literally the Raiders were ready to outbid every team, but like it was to the point where he was asking so much from the Raiders. He was using the Raiders pretty much. He did that. I think he did that.
Right.
I think he might have did that twice. He used the Raiders like twice.
It was crazy. Like I think he grew up a Raiders fan too. He's from like the Northwest. I think he grew up a Raiders fan, and like, it's cold world.
But yeah, man. Hey, look, man. It's been a great show. We appreciate everybody coming through. Old school FCS. Hell yeah, Mark did his thing. Shout out to Severe. Yeah, he did.
No time it is, man.
He did it on that part, but just let Mark just do that. Can that just be just stop right there? Just stop it right there. But when it comes to making football decisions, that's where I'm gonna come in and have an issue with, in my opinion. But it is what it is. But hey, look, it's been a great show. We appreciate everybody coming through. Make sure to clock in at this point, clock out, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Severe, let the people know where they can find you, what to look forward to, all that good stuff.
You know what it is, man. At the Severe Raider on YouTube, IG, X, Snapchat, TikTok, all that good stuff. Follow your boy every Tuesday evening, right here on the 50-50 show Friday around the Shield. Me and my guy Pharaoh and my other brother Big Mike. Also gonna be kicking it back up probably next week with Protect the Shield and 805 No Protect the Shield. I think he was out of the country doing some big things. So we're kicking that back up next week. But make sure you guys also I shared it. I put it in Pharaoh's chat. I'll put it in my chat as well. It's the pinned message in my chat. Make sure y'all hit up the 50-50 shop. Get some stuff for yourself, for your ladies, for your kids, for the office, all that stuff. Make sure y'all, make sure y'all. So that's one of the best ways to support the channel. Besides hitting that like and hitting that subscribe button. And we'll make sure y'all follow Around the Shield on IG for all your Raiders content, news, rumors, memes, clips of the show, all that good stuff. And then throw it to my guy Pharaoh. Make sure y'all buy them 50-50 hats. I was gonna wear one because I know Pharaoh wasn't gonna be rocking one, so I was gonna wear a 50-50 hat because I know Pharaoh wasn't gonna have one of those on.
Hey, no. As of right now, I mean, we're sold out on the 50-50 hats. We do got hoodies, we got shirts, we got all that, man. Definitely check it out. Support the show, cop some Raiders gear, man. We got some Raiders stuff. We got some stuff coming up too. We know, it's getting chilly out there, so we're gonna have some hoodies coming up too. We have some hoodies currently, but we're gonna have some stuff coming up. So definitely stay tuned and cop some merch. But we appreciate everybody coming through. Like Severe said, every Tuesday evening nights we do the 50-50 show. Later this week we're gonna do Around the Shield with obviously me, Severe, and Big Mike Raider. So stay tuned for that. That drops every Friday. And hey, look, man, the season ain't over.
The game picks looking like.
Oh yeah. I gotta do the tally. But I think
we tied. I think we tied this week.
We tied this week.
I think if I was looking at it correctly, I think we are tied.
Okay. We'll see. We'll see, man. We all know. The final, I got to do the tally, and then from there, we'll see what it is. But yeah. Hey, definitely check out Around the Shield, man. We do weekly game picks. It gets a little competitive. If y'all don't know, me, the wager, the friendly wager is one of us got to buy a hat. So right now, Severe is in the lead, so he's talking a lot of trash. But we got to calm that down. Hopefully, each and every week I had a terrible. Just to keep it, I just had a terrible start. That's all. That's 1 week. 1 week could really throw you off. But that being said, I'm chipping away. I'm chipping away on the lead. But yeah, man. Hey, look. Also, give us a follow on IG too as well. Around the Shield on X and IG, where we drop podcast clips, memes, Raider updates, all that good stuff. You'll find it there. So if you haven't already, make sure to follow Around the Shield on X and IG. And like my guy Severe said, hey, make sure to check out the 50-50 shop, man, and cop some merch and support, man. We appreciate everybody coming through. Make sure to, on the way out, clock out, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Severe, any last thoughts before we head out?
Nah, man, it's like you said, make sure you check out the 50-50 shop. And, if y'all want to be great, cop that 7 3/8. How that you play?
All right, yo, we out of here, man.
Just win, baby.
Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it.